Hey, welcome back to The Monsters Within. This month, I hope to expose and bring into the light the monsters that haunt every Enneagram number. Today, we're talking about Enneagram 3. Let's get going. This is 9 in 9, Enneagram Wisdom for Life. Let's dive in. Hey, as we're getting started, can I ask you a favor? If you are loving the content that you're receiving here on this channel and on this podcast, would you please like, follow, subscribe, and share? Just help us spread the word of all this good Enneagram wisdom. All right, let's talk about the monsters within. So Enneagram 3s are hardworking, efficient, successful. They have an outward appearance of confidence, and they really know how to get things done. Remember that the 3's motivation is to perform and achieve with success and with efficiency. And so some key beliefs that are important to remember with the Enneagram 3 is that they really believe that they have to be successful really in everything in order to be loved. And so they're always going to be searching for that human essential need of affection and esteem by achieving things and performing and getting things done and being the best. 3s can tend to work a lot. They can become workaholics. They definitely can sacrifice their own health, relationships, rest. They can really get into a burnout situation pretty easily. And this is all because of that constant pursuit of I must perform, I must be good enough through what I achieve in order to be loved. So the monster within the Enneagram 3 hangs out in the shadows, and it is very hard to detect. It's very, very sneaky. And her name is Deceit. Now, you can imagine that deceit is very deceptive. And so, of course, it can be really hard to spot, especially the particular brand of deceit that most plagues an Enneagram 3, and that is self-deceit. Self-deceit is the unconscious tendency to become or believe whatever the situation deems necessary in order to be successful. Let me break that down just a little bit. For the Enneagram 3, they are so good at reading the room, at kind of knowing what people expect of them all the time, that they can masquerade. They can become whatever is necessary to please the people in the room, to be successful in the eyes of the people in the room, and to perform well. Now, this is not the same as lying. Lying is conscious. But for the 3, this is an unconscious tendency. They often don't even know that they're actually shape shifting into a more acceptable, into a more successful looking version of what they believe people expect them to be. So it's not lying. It's happening in the subconscious. And honestly, the self-deceit piece of it means that they're actually not only deceiving maybe the world around them about who they really, really are, but they definitely are deceiving themselves. Enneagram 3s learned early in childhood that they needed to perform, to be loved, to be successful. Now, that might be real or imagined, but it's how their little brains took the information in. And so unconsciously, they learned how to shift and basically deceive themselves out of their authenticity. And this became how they were successful and well liked and the best and winning and performing and becoming an A-star athlete or an A+ student or a musician or a performer of some kind. For the 3, it's within that subconscious. And so you don't want to say to a 3, oh, you're just so fake. They don't even know that it's happening most of the time. As an Enneagram 3, I know that it's hard to hear that this monster of deceit is causing you to sacrifice your authenticity. But that's why the Enneagram is so helpful, because we are going to drag those little monsters into the light. We're going to pull it out of the shadows and we're going to take a look at it. And so if you're an Enneagram 3, here are some things you can do to really combat the area of deceit. The first is always just to spot it, just to be more aware. If you sense that maybe you're shifting the way that you speak or talk or look or behave, or trying to be somebody that doesn't feel completely authentic to you in order to be successful. A question that can be really helpful here is, who am I trying to impress and why? Some other helpful questions would be, is this the whole truth? Is this what I really mean? Does this feel true to who I really am? Now, this brings me to the second piece of advice I would have here for Enneagram 3s, and that is, how are you going to know if you're not being authentic if you don't know who you really are? And so much of the work to be done as an Enneagram 3 is getting to know you at the deepest level. Who are you really? This is going to require you to access two things that can be a little bit difficult for Enneagram 3. The first is accessing your honest emotions. As an Enneagram 3, emotions are typically set aside because they feel inefficient to getting the job done. So it's going to be taking captive the emotions that happen and really holding onto them long enough to understand what those emotions are, why they're there, and how they're shaping you. And so if you have the emotion of being hurt, rather than just letting it brush aside and pretending like everything's okay so that everybody else thinks you're fine, you might have to hold on to that hurt and really be authentic with it and say, wow, I feel hurt. I need to be able to express myself in a way that honors that without just brushing it past and pretending like everything's good. So you've got to know yourself. You've got to access feelings. And the other thing that can be hard for 3 is also the art of being and allowing yourself to rest and not work. When you are forced to spend time with you without a project to work on, without a checklist to mark off, without something to work towards, then you really can get to know who you are, what you enjoy, how you really feel, and you're allowing your mind and your heart and your body to rest. The ultimate goal for the Enneagram 3 is what we call the virtue, and that virtue is veracity. Veracity is a fancy, fancy word for total authenticity. It's an ultimate authenticity. It's a trueness. It's being unable to be anything except who you truly are, and that being enough. I made a PDF that will outline the monster of deceit and this virtue of veracity, authenticity. If that'd be helpful to you, you can download that for free in the show notes. All right, last word to the Enneagram 3s. I want you to get really, really good at observing yourself without judgment. Try to take those emotions captive and get to know who you really are, because I promise you, it's enough.